a dog to come and as its companion and protect him. So his eyesight is a blessing. Hearing is a blessing. We see, for example, speaking is a blessing. That this mouth of ours can commit zina, according to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Because why? Because a mouth can commit adultery if the tongue is let loose. A blessing always, when one wants to look at a blessing, how you deal with that blessing determines your success on the day of judgment. So on this angle you have some blessings which are external, but then you have some blessings which are internal. For example, ilm, knowledge, is an internal blessing, because knowledge is the idea of facts being imprinted on the soul of mankind, allowing the intellect to develop. Yet with the blessing of knowledge, if you want to see whether I actually look after this blessing, you will see whether someone is humble with their knowledge or arrogant with their knowledge. Many have come before who are very humble with the knowledge they have. But many have come as well who became very arrogant with the knowledge they have. As you find in the Quran, Qarun had the knowledge of being able to reach the best in the industries. Yet what do we find? He is so arrogant with the knowledge that he has, that it leads to his downfall. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when speaking about a blessing, He says in the Quran, يُعْرِفُونَ نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ يُنْكَرُونَهَا. They know Allah's blessings. Every single human being knows Allah's blessings. Yet what do? They reject Allah's blessings. One group of people, what do? They reject. Yet in another verse in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, not only do they reject, but there is another verse which says, أَلَمْ تَرَوْا إِلَى الَّذِينَ بَدَّلُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ كُفْرًا. There is a group of people who not only rejected the blessings of Allah, they swapped the blessings of Allah and became complete disbelievers. That's why in Surah Al-Fatiha, what do we always say without paying attention? The moment the Muslim world actually pays attention to Surah Al-Fatiha and understand its meaning, the salah of the Muslim world changes completely. Look in the salah, what do you say? Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Ya Allah, guide me on the right path. Sirat al-ladhina an'amta alayhim. Ya Allah, guide me on the path of those who you have sent your blessings on. Because mankind always looks for people who are blessed. In every area in our life, we look up to those who are blessed. صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ غَيْرَ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. Not those who have gone astray, nor those who have completely disbelieved. Because notice here how the three areas of blessing works. One group thanks Allah. Another group rejected Allah's blessings. A third group went into complete disbelief in Allah's blessings. Instead of accepting Allah's blessings, they completely rejected them. And that's why when you come, you see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He comes to Bani Israel. Ya Bani Israel, اذكروا نعمتي عليكم. إِنِّي فَضَّلْتُكُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. O children of Israel, remember my blessings upon you. I made you the chosen people. How many things did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the children of Israel to make you believe? Imagine one day we go, for example, to the Red Sea. Imagine the Red Sea opened up in front of you. A guy comes, he says, look, I've opened the Red Sea in front of you. Wouldn't you believe he's a prophet of God? How many people are just going to come and open the Red Sea like that? Yet they reject that sign. And then when Musa says, I'm going to receive the commandments, Musa is only away for how long? For 40 days. They're already worshipping a calf. And then after that, even when they're forgiven, they want what? They want food from Jannah. We can just about eat food as human beings. How arrogant must you be that you want food from Jannah as a sign? Allah says we send the herbs and the onion and the garlic and every single spice you'll find in an Indian. We sent it all down towards this children of Israel. Did they accept? No. We even gave them heavenly foods. Al-Manna wa Salwa, we gave them the most beautiful of heavenly foods. Again, they rejected. They completely rejected. These people are the ones who rejected God's blessing. But then you find another group of people who virtually went into kufr because of their rejection of Allah's blessings. Who? The Christians. Not all Christians, but certain groups of Christians went into complete disbelief by taking pagan rituals. Ya Isa ibn Maryam, اذكر نعمتي عليك وعلى والدتك إذ أيدتك بروح القدس تكلم الناس في المهد وكهلا وإذ علمتك الكتاب والحكمة والتوراة والإنجيل. Allah says to Jesus, son of Mary, He says to him that look at all the blessings we have given you. We taught you the wisdom and the Torah, and we taught you the Injil, and we allowed you to raise the dead to make them alive, and we allowed allowed you to create from clay to make a bird. And we allowed you to walk on water. So many blessings given to Christianity. Yet you notice in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always says what? Bi'idhni, bi'idhni, bi'idhni. All of it was done by my permission. Jesus, son of Mary, never done nothing without my permission. Don't forget that. What did they do? Now Jesus, son of Mary, became God, became the Son of God, became the highest figure in Christianity. And that's why you find some groups in Christianity went into complete disbelief because of this whole idea of rejecting Allah's blessings. Therefore, when you come to analyzing a blessing, we find one of the greatest blessings ever given to mankind is the blessing of children. There is no blessing like the blessing of children. A mother who has her child, there is nothing, no feeling like a mother bringing up her child. And indeed, even a lady who cannot give birth, it is the worst feeling for a female when she cannot give birth. Because it's an honor to have a child. It's a blessing. Yet how we look after this blessing determines exactly how successful we will be on the Day of Judgment. Because if I neglect this blessing, if I reject this blessing, I could be one of those who rejected the previous blessings of Allah. Subhanallah, if you ever wanted to know how Arabia was ignorant, Arabia is probably the only ever nation who found a child as not a blessing but a calamity. You want to know how hard Rasulullah's job was? The only people who, when they would receive a daughter, they would find as a calamity would be the Arabians. That Umar ibn al-Khattab narrates a story about himself. He says, in the days of Jahiliyyah, I used to have two things, which when I remember them, one of them I laugh about, and another I cry about. Two things. One of them I laugh about, and another one of them I cry about. He says, the first thing is that when I was in Jahiliyyah, I used to worship an idol. I used to be an idol worshipper. And we used to make our idols out of what? Out of dates. See dates? Imagine someone who's going to be leader later on. He makes his idols out of dates. He puts a few dates together and draws an idol. He says at the end of the year when the dates would get a bit, I would end up eating it. So therefore it's like I was eating an idol. I was eating something I was claiming to worship. He said, I think back on those days and I laugh. He says, but there's something I think back about and I cry. What is it? He says that I used to have a daughter in the days of Jahiliyyah. And that this daughter of mine in the days of Jahiliyyah, we used to bury them alive. He said, one of my daughters who when I was burying her alive, as I was burying her alive, imagine a baby being buried alive. It's in your hands. The baby just calls out with its fingers. Just imagine you as a mother, for example, or a father. Your baby, when you look at it, you see that it puts its fingers out. Imagine that. You know where I'm going. Imagine it just puts its fingers out. Even it tries to maybe touch the dust that was on Ibn al-Khattab's beard. He says, I remember this because I ended up burying her, but I thought to myself, how cruel could I have been that I was willing to bury a child? Of course, later on, he goes on to do other things of the similar nature. What we find is that here in Arabia, the Quran says their faces used to become black when they saw that a child had been given to them. That is how ignorant they were about Allah's blessing. Whereas in the Shia world today, how we look after a child as a mother or a father will determine just how quickly Imam Sahib al-Asr al-Zaman returns back to us. Because Imam Sahib al-Asr al-Zaman is of course looking for mothers and for fathers to build nations. As Napoleon used to say, give me good mothers, I'll give you a strong nation. So the idea here is that a mother can bring up soldiers, just like a father can. That's why we notice, according to psychological studies, many studies have been conducted about the role of the mother in society. And indeed the mother and the attachment of the mother towards her children. You find amongst the most famous people who done psychological studies on this area was a person by the name of Bowlby. Bowlby used to have a study, and he came forward with a theory called the theory of attachment. Psychology students here may have come across the theory of attachment. In this theory, what did Bowlby used to say? Bowlby done a series of experiments with a mother and her child. You all know about a mother with her child when her child's in hospital. Imagine you as a mother, your child is in hospital. There are two types of mothers in their reaction to their child in hospital. One type of mother does what? She stays with her child the whole night. She stays by the sick bed the whole night. Yes? Another type of mother, she stays till about midnight. Then she goes home. She comes back earliest thing in the morning. Two types of mothers. Bowlby analyzed these two types of mothers to come to a conclusion about the attachment of that child to his mother later on in the life. And he found that the mother who remains with her child the whole night has a closer attachment to the child than the mother who left to go home and came back in the morning. So he found the idea that the theory of attachment is that there is a difference depending on how much the child saw the mother when the mother was with him at a very young age. Furthermore, you have, for example, people such as Ainsworth, who came with what was known as the strange situation. And again, he used to examine how when a mother leaves her child at school. All of us remember our first day at school. Okay, we all remember our first day at school. I remember in my first day at school, I just never wanted to be there, you know, and sometimes someone cries, sometimes you start throwing things, and then there are the good ones, the ones who just settle down in their place, in the corner of the school, and they just get on with their life. What happens is, Ainsworth looked at these three, and he found that there's three different types of attachment between a mother and her child. In one sort of attachment, you would find that when the mother would leave, the child would start crying straight away. And another type of attachment, the child would cry a little bit. And the third type of attachment, he found that she found that the child didn't cry at all. It was ready. And it showed her three different types of mother-child